till you are what you are in this world. That's either one or two things. Either you're somebody or you're nobody.
Why did Genghis Khan wake up and think, you know what? Let's all get our horses and let's just ride over there, and whatever we find, let's just take it. The instinct to conquer. Truthfully, if you're a man, you look in the mirror, what will make me happy? My empire will make me happy. That's why Alexander the Great did what he did, and Julius Caesar did what he did, and Genghis Khan did what he did. The thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless.
I'm ready to kill. I don't do this for fun. This is not a sport for me. I don't enjoy it. I hate training. I hate fighting. This is war. I was born for this. I have no choice. I'm in there to kill. That's it. Pain. That's all I know. Put someone in front of me. Put someone in front of me. That's all I have to say.
Making his way to the ring, Andrew, the Cobra Tate, representing the United States of America, trains at the Storm Gym with 𝐕𝐝𝐿𝐼𝐴 in Luton, in England. But I tell you something, this guy, the Cobra, once he strikes, the venom in his punches are absolutely ridiculous.
If you cannot force yourself to work when you don't want to work, if you can't force yourself to not log into Pornhub or force yourself to eat right, how can you possibly ever become a monumentally successful person if you cannot control yourself long enough to do what must be done as opposed to what you feel like doing? I have to train because if I don't, I feel too guilty to sleep. I feel dirty. I feel terrible inside if I don't train. Once you get that mindset, how can you lack motivation? Motivation's free and unlimited. It's discipline and purpose is more important.
Of course she broke your heart. Good, good, good. I'm tired of people complaining and crying about it. That's the game. That's the life. There's no way to the top besides the difficulty and the pain and the trauma.
If you ask a woman the kind of man she wants, she will never say depressed or sad. Ever. She wants a man who is ultra capable, ultra competent. They want someone who is fun and spontaneous and charismatic and successful. They don't have time for sad dudes. They don't care.
The majority of people are just fucking sleepwalk. They have no plan to achieve any of their goals. They don't try very hard at shit. Everything is someone else's fault. When my ship comes in, don't worry, nah. In a few years, I'm gonna be here. How? You know, when I was young, my father would walk past me and just push me over. Just push me over at random. And I'd get up. And Mom would say, why are you doing that? And I'd say, because that's life. That's life as a man. You get pushed over. And you just gotta get up. If you're raising a son and you do that, the son may cry a bit, but he'll get over it. He'll learn the game. He'll understand the game. Your son will actually get good at the game. You'll see him start to learn to backpedal and laugh and say, ha ha ha, you didn't get me, Dad. It'll all become fun.
I was in jail and I could just hear crying and sobbing from every cell of mine. Everyone's in there having a mental breakdown but me.
You don't know how long you're in there for. Could be a year, could be 5, could be 3 days. That's what messes with your brain. What's going on? Nobody knows. Everyone's in there having mental breakdowns but me. Why did I not have a mental breakdown? Because I've had too much crap happen to me too many times and never took the painkiller, never took the easy way out, never asked for the therapist, never been a bitch about it.
The only people who get to live their lives based on how they feel are women and children. Children can cry because they feel like crying, as can a woman. A woman can start an argument because she feels like arguing, as can a child. A man must do what he is is supposed to do, irregardless of how he feels. That is the key component to masculinity, is discipline. I am so addicted and so accustomed to constant struggle and war that the idea of living without it is almost daunting to me, because I don't see the point in being alive. What are you doing then? Waking up, were you just smiling all day, eating Happy Meals? And I'm sitting here going, yeah, my life has always been a struggle. It's all I've ever known. I can't imagine it being any other way. And I'm still not trying to change it. I'm not trying to retire and vanish and disappear and just live easy. It's not something I'm even interested in. It doesn't even cross my mind. Once you adopt that mindset, how can you not be successful? What I'm saying is, you're playing a game, and it's a competitive game, and you need to build a mindset that allows you to be ultra competitive. And if you want to sit there and say, no, I want a non-competitive mindset, then fine. You know what you call people who do not win competitions? Losers. Correct. I am so scared of being that person. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that can possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I can possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary, because I will never stay a loser. It is against my creed. It's not in my DNA.
I try and teach young men to be disciplined and stoic and work hard, and explain to them that nothing good is going to come from life unless they dedicate themselves. Anybody who is a fan of mine, any young man who watches my content will feel better and act better. They don't watch me for entertainment purposes. They watch me because their life improves outside of the internet in the real world, and that's why they're so dedicated to my message.
There's a lot of young men now, young women, that require that discipline. What kind of advice would you give them, practical advice?
Yeah, I think that you have to live. There's a lot of practical advice I can give. In terms of the religious sense, I would say you need to live like God is always watching. You may have the opportunity to do something bad, or you may have the opportunity to steal some money or snake somebody, but in the end, you're going to pay for that, and the bill will be paid. I think if you do the right thing, in my experience, if you're a person who does the right thing, firm handshake, is on time, doesn't lie to anybody, does what he's supposed to do, is honest, with a good heart, is genuinely polite to everyone he meets, if you are that person, you get very far in life. I've yet to meet people who just do all the simple things right, who completely fail at life. But I've met a lot of people who snake or steal some money and they get really rich, then they lose it all, or they get rich and end up a gambling addict or depressed, or etc.
If you want a good society, so then you have to argue and sit and say, do these people want a happy, functioning society, or do they want something else?
I have to live the exact same life regardless of how I feel. So for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived. You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy. And show your resilience. I have very much understood that when bad things happen to me, this is a lesson from the universe or from God or from the Creator to stand up and show who I am and who I can be, and to take all of the pain and anguish and disappointment and heartbreak and all of this and turn it into a force I can use for good and to make myself a better person. And I think if you don't approach life this way, that you're always going to struggle, because life is hard for everybody. It's going to be hard. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. You need to be resilient to it. I mean, just any man who's out there in the world today, you need to look at some problems that need solving, either for yourself or for society, and find a way to fix them. And I think that you should just adopt some problems and try and fix them. It doesn't matter what it is. You can just try and fix the litter in your area, or you can try and get a six-pack, or whatever you want. So if you love your family and you love your last name and you're proud of yourself, then you have a duty to be massively, monumentally successful, to show homage to your ancestors. I find it amazing there are people out here today who are going to sit and say, oh, I'm sad, I'm too depressed, I don't want to work hard. Do you understand that only 200 years ago, there were peasants out working a field, starving, surviving the Black Death, surviving the plague, struggling to exist just to reproduce, so that 200 years later, you can be the end of their bloodline, for you to sit on your ass and do fucking nothing. Like, you're a fuck up. You're fucking up your entire bloodline of your entire ancestry. You owe these people things. They went through hell for you to exist. You have a debt. You have a duty to pay. You have to be the best possible version of yourself. And the same to God. God loves people who try. God loves people who work hard. It's amazing if you try your very best all the time, what God will give you. He'll give it to you, anything you want, if you actually try. Not convincing yourself you try, actually try. They're different things. Disappearing from society. It used to be like, I am Andrew, son of Emery. It was all about who you're a son of. Yes. Right? Exactly. And it's all vanishing now. Yeah. You have a legacy you can build. And I love the fact that when I was growing up, when my dad walked into a chess tournament, people were scared because his name was said, and they were fearful of his last name. And now people are fearful of the last name again because of me, and they will be again because of my son. And this is the beauty of life as a man. And one of the most terrifying but also gratifying things of life as a man is that we're all born relatively valueless. I don't think women are born that way. A woman, if she's born, especially if she's attractive, has an innate value. People just want her no matter what. But as a man, if you're not an important man, nobody gives a fuck about you, and they're never going to care. So you have to build yourself from the ground up, and that's scary for a lot of people, but it's also a massive opportunity. You can decide if you want to be a famous musician or a nice sensitive poet or a painter or a kickboxing world champion or a businessman. You get to decide on all the different characters in the video game. You can choose, who do I want to be? And then if you actually try, you can become it. Isn't that amazing? You can wake up and go, you know what? I want to be this kind of guy. I knew who I wanted to be. I wanted to be the dude pulling up in the Lambo, 3 in the morning, gets out. Everyone's like, who is this big, strong, rich dude? I wanted to be that man, so I became it. And if you don't want that, if you want to go be a musician and play guitar and get a bunch of chicks and chill in Bali and smoke weed, whatever, go, you can choose your character and build it. And there's also some universal constants. Like a lot of people don't have the ability to understand the compounding effect of doing the right thing time after time. Even if you start a new business and you don't know what to do. I guarantee if you're always on time, if you're a builder and you're always on time, take the basic shit, just be on time.
Yeah.
Over time, you may think, oh, I'm just on time, no one notices. Trust me, across 10 years, that's the difference between being a successful builder and not being a successful builder. Just stick to the absolute basics and do the right thing and know what you're supposed to do. And this is why I have so little sympathy for people who go, oh, I'm trying to make it and I can't, because I think they're lying to me and they're lying to themselves. So I got a lot of emails, a lot of messages, and a lot of people like, bro, I'm trying my best. And my answer is simply, no, you're not. I really don't think they're trying their best. Maybe I come across and I seem non-sympathetic, but I'm from a council estate in Luton. I'm now a billionaire. And it's because I actually tried my best. A lazy person thinks he's working too hard, and a successful person thinks he isn't working hard enough. And we're doing 20 times the work they are. And we're like, oh, I could have done more, could have done this. Oh, I missed that today, can't miss that again. Oh, I should have taken that call. I should have flown there. I should have. That's, you know, we have guilt about it. They don't give a solitary fuck. And even if you pointed it out to them, they'd sit there and go, oh yeah, and they'd make some excuse for it. It's the brutal arrogance of people. It's like, if you're not going to take any action at all after 2 hours of being educated, then you're going to just stay a loser.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the reality.
The reason nobody has discipline anymore is because it's not taught. Discipline isn't taught. And the idea of being disciplined is seen as negative. And we also live in a world where everything and everybody is vying for our attention. Everything. There's ads everywhere. YouTube happens quickly. Kids are being raised with iPads. Like when I was a kid or you were a kid, we had a coloring book. Now they got flashing lights and little video games. Like how do you think you're going to keep his attention as he grows old? He's been entertained by some of the best software developers in the world permanently since the second he can pick up an iPad. So your attention is very, very difficult, and that's what discipline is really. It's the ability to stay focused on one thing
every fucking day of your life.
I think most people don't realize how bad their attention span is or how much discipline they lack until they really start to suffer from it. And that's what will happen, especially as a man. I can't say as a woman because I'm not a woman, but as a man, if you don't have the ability to knuckle down and focus on something for a long time, life's gonna punish you. Sooner or later, life's gonna wake you up. And the reality of mastery and the reality of success is that it's not really a glamorous story. Like, how do you become the best boxer in the world? You do the same thing over and over for 15 years. Jab, cross, hook. Like, it's boring, you know, but that's what discipline is. So the idea that a lot of people want to be constantly entertained, I want to be entertained, that's boring. Well, that's why you need discipline. People want to be constantly motivated. Oh, I don't feel motivated. Listen, if you're not motivated to go to the gym, and that has resulted in you being obese, suffering health adversity, so you've now damaged your health. On top of that, you're less attractive to females. On top of that, your energy levels are lower. If you really need motivation to just lose weight and live a life worth living, then there's something wrong with you. I train every single day and I'm never motivated, but I'm disciplined. I never wake up and think, yeah, I want to train. I've been training my whole life. I'm bored of it, but it's something that has to be done, right? So the idea of entertainment, the idea of motivation, these things are completely detrimental to discipline. People come to me all the time and say, how do I get motivated? I say, you don't, you get disciplined. I don't care if you feel like doing X. You must do X or you will stay a loser. So do you want to be a loser or do you want to do X? There's nothing to do with motivation. So a lot of these things, people are constantly distracted, and I think a lot of the things that are taught and told about discipline are actually detrimental to a disciplined mindset as a whole.
I do believe in absolute and utter self-accountability as a man. I think as a man, everything that happens to you is your fault. Me going to jail was my fault. me being attacked online was my fault. If all these bad things that happened to me, I will take responsibility for it, even if I believe they were unfair or unjust. And I think that any man who's going to sit there and say, I'm struggling, he also needs to wake up and understand that if you're going to truly struggle to not click on a website, then you're going to deserve the terrible life you're going to live. And the devil or the matrix or whatever you want to call them are going to fill your life with temptations. They're going to fill your life with easy way outs that they're going to want you to take, because the good road is usually the hardest road. And if you're going to continue to fall for them, then you're going to have to suffer the consequences of that. So it's double-edged. It's certainly difficult that pornography is everywhere and men are struggling with it. But to me, what's even more upsetting is that these men don't have enough fortitude and enough mental strength to wake up and say, I'm better than that. But this is the thing. When you attack a man's mental fortitude on one issue, you attack it on all issues. This is why it's done purposefully. To resist the slave mind, you need to be able to resist in the first place. How can you resist a slave mind if you have no physicality, you have no willpower, no ability to mentally resist anything? Well, then what you're going to end up doing, you're going to end up eating the bugs and watching the porn and sitting in front of your computer. And that's what they want from the people. So I think that it's actually all very interconnected. People come at me with the porn problem and I get the same thing. Guys say to me all the time, hey, what should I do? I struggle with pornography. And I say, that's because you have nothing else in your life in order. If you were in good physical condition and you had the money you were supposed to have and you had the mentality you were supposed to have, you wouldn't need it. So the reason you're so addicted to porn is because everything else in your life is a failure. And yeah, it's certainly a complicated issue. It's a difficult one. And this is why they fear male agency so much, because when men truly wake up and decide to be the best versions of themselves, they're hard to control, because all these control mechanisms fall by the wayside. They don't want the porn anymore. They don't want the antidepressants anymore. They don't want the garbage anymore. And now you have a whole bunch of men who actually want truth and honor and respect, and they want to live for something. And then what are they going to live for? They're going to want to be brave. They're going to want to do the right thing, regardless of how dangerous it may be for their own personal circumstance. And that sounds like a difficult population to enslave. I mean, that's what's scary. And I think that the best thing you can possibly do as a man is prepare for the endless difficulty that's going to come your way. There's no way out as a man. You're either going to have a very difficult life to become somebody important, or you're going to suffer the difficulty of being invisible. What do you want to do? You want to be invisible and just hide and work in Starbucks? Or do you want to go out there and be top G and be the most famous man in the world and have government agencies trying to lock you up for no reason, putting you in a dungeon? You have to make a choice. It's going to be difficult either way. I've said this many times before, but I'm going to say it again. I don't think many people understand exactly how competitive the masculine world is. Men are constantly in competition with each other. We always have been. We used to go to war and fight. But all in all, you're wasting time in a hyper-competitive world where people like me, who perform regardless of how they feel, are just going to perpetually bury you. And then you're going to sit there and wake up and go, why am I a loser? Well, because when Andrew was sad, he continued to perform. When Andrew was in jail, his business didn't fall apart. He was doing push-ups every day. His body didn't fall apart. Nothing about his life degraded when he was in a jail cell surrounded by cockroaches. You're in a plushy bed at home, crying about what? And you expect the male world's hyper-competitive. That's the reality of the masculine world, because we've evolved, if you believe in evolution, but my views are mixed, but we've evolved to be in this position where we're constantly analyzing possible threats, and we're constantly analyzing people who perhaps are on our team, or snakes, etc. And I think that not many people understand exactly how brutally competitive the masculine world is. And I think the worst thing you can do for a son is just to raise him in a bubble. My dad, I'll say it here, people lose their minds. My dad used to just randomly push me over. I'd be like 3. He just said, not hard, but just get up, boy. Okay. My mom would be like, why are you doing that, son? He's like, you get pushed over, that's life. My mom hated that she did that. But yeah, I can give him nothing but praise. I'm really so thankful I had the upbringing I had. Motivation isn't real.
Motivation is not a real thing. People who train every day don't want to train every day. They are not motivated to train every day. They are something else. Motivation is the wrong word. They are not motivated. It's called discipline. It's called being a man. It's not about feeling like doing it. If you only do things you feel like doing, you know what you end up doing? What? You end up sitting around with a belly, drinking soya fucking latte bullshit. That's what you end up doing if you only do what you feel like doing. You have to wake up and say, I don't feel like training, but I must train. I will only drink water. I will stop being a loser. You need to do what you're supposed to do, not what you feel like fucking doing. Okay. That's the difference between a man and a fucking child. You do not become a man doing what you feel like doing. You become a man doing what you're supposed to fucking do. It's your duty. It is your duty to not be a fat piece of shit.
You don't get anywhere in life without discipline. Truthfully, to be truly a man, the absolute true marker of a man is his ability to do the things he doesn't feel like doing.
The world is hyper-competitive.
if you're going to be a man who's going to sit and say, I'm just sad, you are always going to lose in competition to men like me. And there has to be losers for there to be winners. I am tired of sympathy. Sympathy doesn't work for anybody. I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic for people who say they're too sad to try hard and be their best. Guess what? Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have a fucking ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. I can't comment on being a woman because I'm not one. But the baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. Even people coming up saying hello to me. If you're depressed, don't even shake my hand. I do not have time for losers on any regard. Winners only. Men who have mental health issues, I wish them the best in the world. But when they come to me and say, and I get this all the time, Andrew, I have this problem, I'm depressed and I can't go to the gym. I say, no, I disagree. You're depressed because you don't go to the gym. You go to the gym, you might start to feel better, right? I'm saying you can't sit as a man and afford the luxury of saying, I have a mental health issue today, I'm sad today, I'm stressed today, I'm emotional today, I can't work, because you will lose against the men who don't do that. As a man, it's player versus player, it's ultimately competitive. And as a man, you have to outcompete the other men who are prepared to get up and do it anyway. That's how it works. There's no such thing as saying, I'm sad, I need 2 weeks off. Not as a man if you want to be important. If you want to be important as a man, you have shit to do. You have duties. This is how it exists. This is how it's always been.
If I feel sad, it does not change how I act, and it does not change the things I do. If I don't feel like going to the gym, I go to the gym. If I don't feel like working, I will still work. I lived in a world for 15 years where I didn't feel like fighting because my nose was broken, but I had to fight anyway. So a lot of these people come to me and they say, oh, but I feel this way. I don't put a huge amount of importance on emotions. It's not that I don't feel them. It's that I don't think they have much to do with anything at all. If I wake up in a happy mood and I have a business to run and females to cater for and things to do, if I wake up in a sad mood, I have the same shit to do. I'm going to get it done. So where's the importance of it? In my mind, that's how I view it. Like, how does it affect what I'm going to do? Well, nothing. It doesn't. It's not going to affect how I live my life. So why sit around and think about it? This modern obsession with happiness is the #1 problem with the world. Because I really don't believe humans were ever evolved to be happy. Were we? If you're going to try hard at something, and I mean genuinely try, 99% of people will get adept at excellent. It doesn't matter what it is. If I decided I wanted to be good at piano and I gave it everything I got, I'd be able to play piano. Do you know what I mean? Like there's people with one hand who can play piano. It's just how much effort you're going to put in. I don't struggle at anything because if I decide I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I've never struggled with motivation. So if you don't struggle with motivation, then you're never going to struggle with anything in life. I mean, I'm naturally adept at some things, and there's some things I'm not as naturally adept at. But if you're prepared to work, you're prepared to work. So no, I don't struggle with anything. Life is not a struggle to me. I do not view life as difficult in any way. I think life is extremely easy. I believe that all of my problems are going to be fixed by me. That no one else is going to wake up and give a fuck about my problems the way I'm going to give a fuck. Nobody else is going to be prepared to go through what it takes to fix them but me. If I'm in the ring getting an ass kicking, not my coach, not my corner, not my fans, no one's going to get me out of there alive but me.
As a man, we live in hyper-competitive environments. I don't think enough men understand how competitive the world is. If you want a girl, you're competing against other men. You're not the only man who had the idea of getting that girl. There's no girl you're going to see and go, oh, I'll get that girl, and didn't cross anyone else's mind. Everybody else wants her. You have to outcompete other men. You have to be as competitive as possible. You have to be as successful as possible in all realms. You have to be as good looking, as funny, as smart, as spontaneous, as interesting, as charismatic, as rich as possible. You need to try very hard to be your absolute best. And as you become a better man, you'll crack through different tiers of attractiveness, and eventually you get to the top and you'll be able to have any girl you want. But the truth is, I have a lot of guys ask me, similar to your question, a guy will come to me and go, how do I get a girl? I'm like, bro, you're a loser. Yeah, but I know, but how do I get a girl? Well, you're a fucking loser. You're a loser. Why are you asking me? It's like saying, how do I win a race with a push bike? You're racing Ferraris. What do you want me to do? Yeah. There's only so much you can do. There's only so hard you can pedal. There's only so many tricks and tips. There's only so many game things you can say, so many pickup lines. If you're a loser, it's going to be very, very difficult, and it's going to get harder and harder. The game is rigged to become harder and harder for men. It's not getting easier. It's going the other way. And if you're going to be on a racetrack and there's going to be Ferraris there, and you're going to be on a pedal bike or in a Nissan, you're going to get smoked. That's the game. You have to up yourself. You have to improve yourself. I'm not going to lie to anybody here and say you don't have to improve yourself. You can stay a loser and get chicks, because you can't. Yeah, you can't. This idea of just random headaches is bullshit. It's bullshit. If you have a headache, it's for a reason. Did you hit your head? Yes or no? Well, no, you didn't hit your head. So are you dehydrated? Probably. Have you drunk a bunch of water? Yeah. If you really drink a bunch of water and you didn't hit your head and your head still hurts, have you laid down, had a little nap? Maybe you were tired and now you feel okay again. Why are you taking drugs? I know people who just randomly 4 times a week, I have a headache, let me just take this pill. What headache? Was your brain falling out? Is your brain rotting? Why do you have a headache for no reason? It doesn't make sense to me. It's stupid. A lot of it's psychological, a lot of it's placebo effect bullshit, and it's an entirely wrong worldview. You can't just go through life medicating yourself for imaginary fucking illness. It's dumb. If you want to get rich, you have to act quickly. You have to do things fast. Speed is rule 1. Not enough people understand the importance of speed, because every hour you spend not making money is an hour you're not going to get back. The sooner you turn on the tap to the money, the more money you're going to make. You have to be very, very quick. Life only teaches you lessons the hard way. There's no other way to truly learn a lesson. The thing is, you'll notice about people is that when life is trying to give them a lesson the easy way, they'll ignore it. Oops. Oh, like you'll see it all the time. People they'll have close call, close call, close call, close call. They won't pay attention until something really bad happens, and then they'll be like, oh no, I'll do anything to take this back. Yeah. That's how people learn. No one learns the easy way. It takes a very smart person to learn the easy way. Everybody only learns the hard way ever. The number one thing people don't have control of in their lives is their mind. But what's funny about that is, the only thing in life you can truly control is your mind. You can't control other people. You can't control the weather. You can't even control your health. Your heart might stop beating. You don't make it beat. It just goes, so it's going to turn off one day. The only thing you can control in your life is what you think in your mind. So if you're going to sit there and go, oh, I'm sad, well, you can change that if you actually try, but you don't. You just accept it, right? So people have lost control of their own minds. And I don't understand why you would allow your own mind to take power from you. Why would you let your own mind convince you you're not a lucky person, or I'm not this, or I'm not confident? Why would you let your own mind sabotage you?
I think the universe is absolutely and utterly giving. I've never seen anybody dedicate themselves to something completely and fail. I've never seen somebody eat right, go to the gym every day, train really hard, and not be in good shape. I've literally never seen it. The universe is extremely giving. If you actually try, and you actually want it, and you're actually not making excuses, lying, talking shit, you're gonna get what you want. So when I see people who don't have what they want, I consider them losers. And this may be elitist, I understand that. But if I put myself through endless pain to end up where I am, it's very hard for me to have sympathy on the man who's afraid of pain. You're avoiding pain. I've been through endless. I now have everything I've ever desired. You have none of the things you desire. Am I supposed to feel sorry for you because you took the easy way out? Am I supposed to look at you and go, oh, poor dude? No, you were a fucking coward. You didn't go through the shit I went through. You didn't put it on the line. So you deserve your substandard reality. That's what you deserve. You're a fucking loser. Because if you actually wanted it and you actually tried, you'd have it. You could have anything you want. Universe is super giving. You want a fucking Ferrari, you can have it. You want that bitch, you can have her. You can have anything you want on the planet. There's not a girl I look at that I want that I can't have. Not one. That's my reality. There's not a car I can't have. There's not a house I can't buy. If I want to go to a yacht, if I want to go to Antarctica, there's nothing I can't have. Bam. Because I've decided to become this man. It's the same for absolutely every single one of you at home.
Erigo production.